All right, today we are talking about decimal parts of a meter. First of all, do we use meters to measure a lot of things
No.
in the States? No, not usually. Okay? Before we begin, a meter is going to measure length of something. Okay, so we have a lot of different metric measurements, but we're focusing on just the meter today, and we're talking about the length. So we have 1 meter, 10 decimeters, 100 centimeters, and 1,000 millimeters. Notice how all of those amounts are equal to the same length of that stick. Okay, anybody ever seen a meter stick before?
Yes, ma'am.
It's similar to a yardstick, but slightly longer.
You ever looked at one in 3rd grade?
So if I have a meter stick, that means that there's going to be 1,000 millimeters on that stick. There would be 100 centimeters on that stick and 10 decimeters on that stick. So the cool thing about meters is that we're going in like a base 10 pattern, okay? 1 meter would be equal to, go away. 1 meter would be equal to 10 decimeters.
What's a decimeter?
Okay, now think for just a second. Every 10 years, what do we call that?
Decade.
A decade. Okay, notice how decade and this word both start out similar, right? They both mean 10. A centimeter, how many centimeters do you think are in a meter? 100. Century, yes. If you look at the beginning, it's a lot like century. And then millennial is every 1,000 years. So a millimeter, there's going to be 1,000 millimeters. Now, I could erase this and say
I thought a millennial was
that a millimeter is 1/100th of a meter. How is a millimeter 1/100th of a meter? Or sorry, 1,000th. I should say 1,000th. I'm thinking centimeter. How is a millimeter 1,000th of a meter? Mine.
Because there's 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter.
Because there's 1,000 millimeters in 1 whole meter. So if I only have 1 millimeter, then it's equal to 1/1,000th. Okay, if I wrote that as a decimal, it would look like this. 1,000th. For centimeters, 1 centimeter is what of a whole meter? How many centimeters are there? There's 100. So how would I say that? 1/100th. You could also show it as 0.01. And then a decimeter is 1/10 of a meter, which is just 0.1. And then my meter is my 1 whole. So when I'm talking about numbers that involve different digits and different place values after a decimal, you can see that really it's on like a base 10 pattern. I have my tenths, my hundredths, my thousandths. Okay, with millimeters, centimeters, decimeters, they're all on the base 10 scale. Grace.
Basically, all you're doing for the decimal is putting a number backwards.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what you're doing. And you think about how many zeros are in 1,000. There's 3, which means that there are 1, 2, 3 places in the decimal. How many zeros are in 100? That means there's 1, 2 decimal places behind the decimal. Y'all kind of seeing the patterns there? When I had this, to go from a centimeter to a decimeter, it's 1 place that I'm dividing 10 by. I'm not having to go more than. All right, 40 centimeters would be how many decimeters? 40 centimeters. So let's think about this for a second. I have 40 centimeters. Okay, and remember we have like meter, decimeter, centimeter, and then we have millimeter. Yeah. Okay, so somebody's saying 4. It'd be 4 decimeters. Why?
Because a decimeter is 1/10 of a meter, and a centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. So if there's 40 centimeters, you divide that by
Yeah, because if you notice, if I had 1,000 all the way down here, and then 100, and then 10, and then 1, what's happening from here to here? I'm dividing by 10 to go this way, I should say. Which means I would divide by 10 again to go from the centimeters to the decimeters. And then to go from the decimeters to the meters, I would divide by 10 again. Okay? So 40 divided by 10 equals 4 decimeters. How many millimeters equal 4 decimeters?
400.
Okay, here's my starting point again. Okay, if I'm looking at how many millimeters, I'm trying to get all the way here, and I have 4 decimeters here, I'm going to times 10 to get 400 here, right? And then what? Or sorry, that would be 40.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the answer. Blah. I was thinking ahead. And then times 10 again would be 400. Yes. So there would be 400 millimeters equal to 4 decimeters. It's all base 10. It means you're either dividing by 10 or you're multiplying by a power of 10. Okay, now how many do you multiply by? How many sets of 10? It depends. How far are you jumping? For example, we went from a decimeter all the way to a millimeter, so I had to multiply 4 times 10 to get 40, and then 40 times 10 more to get 400. So you just have to pay attention to how many places you're moving. Each time you move a place to the right, you're multiplying by a power of 10. Each time you move to the left, you're dividing by a power of 10. Eduardo measured his height using a meter stick. He was 1 meter plus 35 centimeters tall. What was Eduardo's height in meters? So his height in meters. Not his height in centimeters. In meters. How would I answer that question?
Add.
A decimal? How?
Oh, yeah. 1.35.
1.35?
No, yeah, I think.
That's 35 hundredths of a meter. Would that be accurate? 1.35 meters? Yes? Yeah. I have one hole and I have 35 hundredths of another. Okay, that's right. Could I also write it like this? Yeah, same thing.
Fraction.
Okay, yeah.
I would stick with that.
I would stick with decimals too. All right, which of these is the most reasonable measurement for the length of an automobile? Do you think it would be 4.5 meters, 4.5 decimeters, 4.5 centimeters, or 4.5 millimeters? A.
Yeah.
Okay, all the rest are a lot smaller, right? And we're just getting smaller and smaller. That would be super silly if we had a car that was 4.5 millimeters. That might be like teeny tiny like Matchbox car. B. Alonzo is 1 meter plus 43 centimeters tall. Use a decimal number to write Alonzo's height in meters, just like what we did. 1.43. Very good. And then a ruler is about 30 centimeters long. About how many decimeters long would a ruler be? 3. And what did you do to get that? You divided. Why did we only divide by 10 and not like by 100 or 1,000 or something?
Because that would have been bigger than what you would study.
Yeah, and when we're going from a centimeter to a decimeter, that's only one bump, right? If you remember. So yes, that would be 3 decimeters. Yes.
The way I thought of it is when I divided by 10, I looked at the centimeters. Because 10 centimeters equal a meter.
100 centimeters equals a meter. But yes, if you are going from a decimeter to, there are 10 decimeters in one, or there are 10 centimeters in 1 decimeter. Yes. I'm making sure I'm saying that right. Okay. All right, that's it for today. Basically, you're multiplying by power of 10, dividing by powers of 10. Okay? Your assignment starts on page 453. Make sure you're on the right page, guys, and you're not doing the wrong lesson today.